This is Tammy at the Bar R. This is the basic lighting for our barn prior to putting lights in. We just had them along the wall, and then I hung down lights for task lighting over the benches. We had the loft put in last year for just more storage of stuff that we want to keep but don't have any room for on the ground. So the first part that I need lighting was under the loft. I have a drill press there, I have grinder there, I have scroll saw there, and I also have my table saw there. These are the lights that we are using in the barn. It comes in a box of 10, has all the hardware with it, plug-ins, and then they attach to each other. 3 can be on one circuit. I knew that we were going to use about 7 or 8 lights of this. So the previous video was me putting one up in the paint room. And we still have a couple of them left over once we finish this barn project. This is a very DIY friendly light kit. They come with the cables. You can use them if you're going to hang them down, or you can ceiling mount them straight to the ceiling. I use the cables because we have like 17-foot ceilings, so we had to drop them down just so we have task lighting. For the loft, I did mount them up, and everything I did here, I did in the painting room, and then also the rest of the barn, which you will see in the next video. On one end, there was a flat screw that you took off, put the bracket that hooks to the light on the screw, and then screws it back into the holder. What you're seeing now on the cables is the ends that go into the ceiling. There is a cylinder right there. You take that off. There's a screw hole in the end. You put a screw through that hole up into your rafter or whatever. And then when you get ready, you feed the cable through that cylinder and then you screw that back on. And then there's a push pin right there on the end that allows that cable to slide through that open cylinder. Right here, I'm trying to figure out which opening I wanted to put the light in. I needed it to be almost flush with the floor joist there because of me having to move so much wood. As you see, my wood piles there on that back wall, and then using the table saw and turning. I didn't want to hit it, so I recessed it up into that cavity. So I'm measuring right now the full length of the light, and then I'll come back and measure where I'm going to actually put each of the cylinders, screw them into the floor. Off the marks that I made previous, I'm finding center on the plywood. So once I get that done, then I'm going to come back, put the cylinder in, move to the other side, put the other cylinder in, and then get ready to hang the lights. I did pre-drill the holes before putting the cylinders up. It's just easier to put the screw through the cylinder and hold that against the ceiling into a hole instead of trying to do it freehand. Rinse and repeat. Due to how the plywood is, I did go up on top of the loft once I got done putting the screws in to make sure that I didn't go all the way through the plywood and the screws were short enough. Now all there's left is to attach the light. When I was hanging the light, I did have the brackets too far on the ends, but they're very easily able to be slid down the light fixture. So once you feed the cable, there's a little hole on the side of the cylinder sleeve. feed the cable through that, screw the holding bracket into the cylinder, and then just do that on the other end. And then once you get ready to set the height of your light, you just pull the cable. I kept going back and forth to adjust the cable to move the bracket down the light to make sure it was laying or hanging straight down. This is the only part where it'd be really good to have a second person because one can work on one side and one can work on the other. But it wasn't that difficult. You just had to go up and down the ladder and move it side to side. The last thing that I had to do once I got everything adjusted was tie up the cables. I didn't want to cut them in case we had to move this somewhere else. I wanted to have the full length. Alright, here is the final product. I did put the plug on an on-off switch the ones I got from Amazon. It turned out really, really well. Helps a lot. Come back for the second part of the barn in the next video. And thanks for watching. Love you.